Right then guys, so welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be continuing from where we left off last time with the pound US dollar backtesting session, where we go from the beginning of 2021 all the way up until the end of 2021. I'm going to be walking you through the full system, risk management plan, and TP rule that I currently use. This video is going to provide a ton of value. So before we get into the backtesting, all I ask is you drop a like below the video. But let's not waste any more time. Let's head right over to the charts and let's get straight into it. Right then guys, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to start from a completely blank chart and let's work our way down. So if we get rid of any markings, there we go. So if you guys remember from last time, or if you haven't seen the last video, that's also completely fine. I'll go through it from the start. What we were essentially looking at is the fact that on the weekly time frame, price was overall still in this bearish trend. It had come up into the extreme of the current range. So we had this weekly supply zone. That price was reacting from just here. So we were expecting sells, or rather we were looking for sells. And what we basically identified on the lower time frames was that price had overall sort of pushed away quite correctively from this level, and then had failed to actually break any significant structure, came back into demand, held the demand, and was now starting to push away. So at the moment, we kind of have this sort of conflict in bias where price has reacted from both supply and a demand zone at the same time. So overall higher time frame bias at the moment is a little bit more ambiguous, but if we jump over to the lower time frames, we can still look to maybe capitalize on some of these moves. So if we're looking at the 4-hour time frame, you can actually see the 4-hour did break past multiple levels of structure. This would be the current 4-hour trend that I would look at, where we've had this break of structure. So if we are looking for sells, as I said, the higher time frame at the moment is slightly more ambiguous. So how I would look to trade this is basically just going with approaching it with an open mind, seeing where price reacts. And if it presents sells, we can jump in sells. If it presents buys, then we can jump in buys. But essentially what I would do here is mark on a few levels where we could maybe see price come into and react from. So we obviously have this area of supply above an area of liquidity. It's in a premium of this current leg. So this for me would be a valid sell zone if price could come up into it. But I'm also going to keep an eye out for some buying opportunities up to it. So if you look on the hourly time frame in particular, you can see price did actually flip bullish from this daily demand zone that we were in. After pulling back, mitigating this demand again, we then had another push up, once again breaking structure. So if we're looking for buys up to the supply zone, you know, we could maybe see a pullback somewhere into this imbalance and then maybe look to buy from there. We are currently in Asia session, so I'm just going to fast forward this. So yeah, maybe we could see price come down into like this sort of demand zone. And then we could maybe look for buying opportunities from there. Yeah, okay, so price didn't want to pull back to that zone. This one was not a valid buying zone for me, so I'm completely fine to have missed that. But what you can see now is price has actually tapped into that supply zone. So this is where we can start to look for some sells if price does start to roll over and present lower time frame confirmation. You can also see one thing I like about this, we have grabbed previous highs into it. Structurally on the 4-hour is still bearish as well. So if we can start to break lower time frame structure in this area, I'm fine with jumping in sells. So let's see what happens here. Currently just consolidating. Yeah, there we go. So this is nice. We had that initial reaction. Price came up in London session, grabbed Asia high, broke M15 structure, as you guys can see, leaving this sort of imbalanced range. I'm going to let this develop slightly more because there's no valid supply zone in this range for me to sell from at the moment. Okay, you can see price starting to continue the push as well. Right, yeah, so this would be a perfect opportunity for me. So we've had that initial 15-minute change of character. We've now pushed lower, haven't grabbed any of these previous lows, but we have created an area of liquidity below an area of imbalanced supply in the range. So I'm going to set my limit on this zone, have stops just slightly above it. If price comes any higher than that, I don't really want to be in this trade. But the reason why I like this at the moment is because it hasn't yet grabbed any of these lows, and you can see price starting to pull back before the sweep. So I'm actually gonna set my limit just here. As for targets, we can go for, let's have a look. We have this area of demand. I'm gonna target that just for a slightly just above a 1 to 3. So yeah, let's see if this can pull back for us. Damn, so looks like it slightly missed us there. Maybe it could still pull back. You know, we still have this as like an inducement just below it. All right, guys, so I'm going to cancel this now. Very clearly it missed us and is pushing down. Slightly annoying. It came, you know, like a few pips away. Analysis was good on that though, so that's a sort of positive to look at that in that scenario. What I'm looking for now, you can see we've reacted from that supply. So what I think price is likely to do here is at least target this previous low. If this previous low is swept and we get price flip back bullish on the lower time frames, I'm still happy to buy here as long as price holds this daily demand zone. So really anywhere within this region, if we can get something like this where it grabs the lows and then flips bullish, we can look for buys instead. Again, with that sort of ambiguous higher time frame narrative, you're kind of looking here to play both sides of the either buys or sells depending on what price shows you, rather than having a set bias on this. Don't think it swept that low. If we zoom in on that, did it sweep or did it not? I think it slightly swept that low. So, you know, the overall like sell target was reached. So I would maybe stop looking for sells now. You could also see as well the lower time frames have flipped bullish. We had a sweep of this low, price flipped back bullish just here. So if we can get a pullback, we could actually look for some buying opportunities here. So let's see if we start to see the pullback. Yeah, so ideally anywhere within this imbalance is a valid buying zone for me now that we've had that change of character. You can see price creating all of these highs just above as well, which I like. Asia low was taken out. So yeah, what I'm really waiting for here, I don't see any like clear demand zones to set a limit on. So what I'm really looking for is to see how price behaves on the lower time frame, in this case the 5 minute. to see if I can get another confirmation on this. Actually, yeah, I think we should have set the limit on this demand zone down here. Price didn't actually tap into it, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my limit here, have stops just below, and we're going to target this previous liquidity. Hopefully price can come back and tag us in. Yes, that's slightly annoying. You can see there, price slightly would have missed our entry by 1 or 2 pips. But yeah, now you can see price just continuing to the upside. We've had another breaker structure just here. Excuse the voice break. Price came down, held the demand. So we could now see price start to push back up, back towards some of these highs up here. I'm liking the bullish scenario now because we have grabbed these lows back into that daily demand, which held. So we can look for more buying opportunities here. Let's see what price is currently doing. So if we fast forward Asia, obviously we're not trading Asia session. We've had sort of pull back into this demand zone. If you look on the lower time frame, it was a little bit clearer, but not the cleanest, to be honest. You know, maybe because this is London, we could maybe see a sweep of Asia low into this demand zone, which did cause a change of character on the lower time frame just here. So how I'm currently viewing this is that we've had a sort of sweep of this zone. Price then flipped bullish internally just here, created this area of demand. London is opening, so if we can maybe see a sweep of that Asia low. There we go. Asia low was taken out. Just there. So maybe we can see some longs from here. You can see price starting to react from that zone as well. If this zone doesn't hold, we could maybe see like a sweep of it. So maybe something like this. But overall, still bullish, and I'm still only looking for buys. So here, for a valid confirmation, I'd want to see this supply zone get broken. Damn, I played price too quickly there. This should have been the entry. Just here. Maybe if we can retest it, I'll enter. But yeah, ideally I should have set a limit there. My bad, guys. I was playing price too quickly. Yeah, there we go. So that would have been a loss anyway. Let's see. Again, I'm going to fast forward Asia. Obviously, we're not trading it. So yeah, the same thing here. If we can get a grab of Asia low back into the demand, or a sweep of it like that. Yeah, so this looks pretty good, guys. So we've had a sweep of all of that liquidity now. Price has impulsively flipped back bullish, as you can see here. This was the second scenario that we went through a minute ago. You can see price kind of wicked down, took out multiple lows just here, tapped into lower time frame demand, flipped back bullish, created imbalance. So if we can see a pullback into an area of demand, I'm looking to get in this. So at the moment, I would look for maybe a pullback into this one. We have some liquidity resting above it as well. So if we can see a pullback into this, I'm going to get in, targeting a 1 to 3. Yeah, so no pullback on that one, unfortunately. Good analysis though. Price did continue to the upside and broke past that current trend high, as you can see that. So yeah, very simply just looking to continue following this bullish order flow and structure now. You can see once we did come into that daily demand, we've now quite obviously flipped back bullish. So I'm looking really to buy price up to at least this previous high up here. And then longer term, you also have, you know, these highs up here as well, which you could see price head back towards. But for now, this is the first sort of liquidity target we could see price head towards. Right, there we go. So we've made this leg up. Maybe we could see a retracement into the demand and then look to buy from there. That would be quite a nice opportunity. Fast forward Asia session. It doesn't look like price is pulling back at the moment. Yeah, there we go. So price never pulled back, unfortunately. Still heading back up towards this previous high. Very clear momentum heading towards it as well. And yeah, there we go. So price rallied straight through that high. Still a lot of bullish momentum though. So what we can expect now is for price to head towards, you know, you have all of these highs, and then you also have this main high up here, which I'm expecting price to take, because we have held the demand and now we've started to rally towards it with a lot of momentum. So thought process now is just to look for more continuations up towards that high. Once that high is swept, maybe we could see a reversal for sales, but for the time being, just simply looking to buy up into it. I'm going to get rid of that just so the chart is cleaner for us. Yeah, so what we've seen now, price has pulled back. We've seen a sweep of Asia low just there. Could maybe see it pull back slightly more, maybe into, you know, this demand down here. But if price can start to present a valid entry from here, I'm going to jump in the buys. Yeah, there you go. So you can see tapped into the demand, broke structure just here, created imbalance as well. So this is a valid setup if we can get a pullback. Let's see, I think we can get a 1 to 3 if we enter here. Have stops just below the low and target the current high. Okay, so not quite. So I'm actually going to wait for slightly bigger pullback to around here into the imbalance. So let's see how this plays out. Yeah, okay, there we go. So price coming lower on that one. Yeah, let's see. Looks like price is trading back down towards the next zone. Still overall bullish, hasn't swept these highs, so I'm not expecting a complete reversal. One thing I like now is price is kind of, if you look back on the 4 hour, it came back into this imbalance, swept this 4 hour low. So actually, if we can get a flip back bullish here, I would also consider buying from here. You can see there on the M15, it did flip back bullish just there. So actually, I'm going to enter here, have stops just below that low, and I'm going to go for a 1 to 3 again. Yeah, there we go. So price is coming lower once again. Small losing streak at the moment, but that's fine. Let's just continue to look for some buying opportunities. Okay, nice. So price has now come down. back into that 4-hour demand zone we were looking at, which was this sort of zone here. So you can see we have this demand. So if price can tap into this, let's see what happens. At the moment, we've just kind of seen like an inducement of it. Yeah, actually, so guys, I think we should have been looking at this whole region instead. I kind of played price too quickly there, didn't react to it quickly enough. But yeah, you can see now we've kind of had this flip back bullish. Oh no, there we go. So price did end up coming back down. Grabbed this low, took out the bottom of that demand zone as well. You can think now as well, everybody's in shorts because we've seen this breaker structure. So people are going to be waiting for a pullback and then looking to sell from there. I'm seeing this as a quite nice buying opportunity actually. So if we can go onto the lower time frames and see a valid change of character here, this is also a valid zone for me. So let's see what it does. Yeah, there we go. So we grabbed this low, broke structure on the M5. We created an area of imbalanced demand. So if we can get a pullback here, I'm happy to buy. For this, I'm just going to go for a mechanical 1 to 3. Just because I don't really want to go for any huge targets here because price does still look quite bearish. You can see as well it did react from the demand, so that's another confluence. If we do limit order, and yeah, nice one, there we go. So that should be TP hit. Yeah, there we go. So you can see as well price did actually come down, re-grab the lows, but because we had that sensible stop loss below the low, we did manage to stay in that trade and still secured a nice 3% on it. So that was pretty good. Based on this momentum now, I am still looking for buys back up towards these highs. So yeah, let's see if price can continue here. If we're looking for another buying opportunity, you know, maybe you could see it come back into this demand down here. Or actually even you have this one. I wouldn't want to set a limit on this though. I'd want to wait for another confirmation here. There we go. So price tapped into it. This for me is not a valid change of character because it's a single candle, not really a pullback. Yeah, there we go. So that was valid actually. You can see we swept the demand low, broke structure here on the M5, created an area of demand. So I'm going to actually enter here. I'm going to have stops slightly below that low, and for targets I'm going to go for let's go for the Asia high up here. There we go. Very nice push so far. That was a perfect entry actually. One thing I think I mentioned in the last video as well is once you see the demand zone swept like this, there is a much higher probability of seeing a push than if price reacts from the demand itself. For this one, I'm actually going to slightly adjust the TP and go for this high. Looks good so far. Let's see if it can keep pushing. And yeah, there we go. Nice one, guys. So 5% secured on that one. Very clean trade. Again, simple process that we're just repeating over and over again. Price came into the demand zone after sweeping liquidity. It flipped bullish, pulled back into demand, swept the demand, and then gave us that very nice lower time frame confirmation entry, which was simply a 5-minute breaker structure with an area of demand being created. You could have also entered from this one if you missed that initial entry as well. But yeah, guys, let's continue to look for some buying opportunities. You can see now as well, we very clearly continued this bullish structure up. Next target for me would be, we have this high and we also have this high up here. So looking to trade price back up towards those highs based on this bullish structure. One thing I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to get rid of this, because on the 4 hour, this was the change of character. We've had this pullback. So what we're expecting now, based on this bullish structure, is for a push back up into these previous highs. So yeah, let's have a look if we can get that continuation. Not really seeing any clean areas at the moment, so I'm just going to let price develop slightly more. Okay, there we go. So price continuing to push up. Still hasn't swept this high, so I'm going to mark that on. Looking to trade price up into that level. We do have now actually a clear area of demand just here. So maybe if we can get a pullback into this zone, we can look for longs. Okay, there we go. So no, price broke the high now instead of pulling back for us. Still overall bullish though, so we are still looking for buys. But now we have like this sort of new range to trade on, to trade within, sorry. Back up towards this previous daily high. So maybe we can see a pullback here to get back in on the longs. I still like this area of demand because you've created this liquidity level just above it. Okay, yeah, so price doesn't look to be pulling back for us into that zone. We can now look for a different zone instead, I guess. Actually, yeah, if we look on the 4 hour, this looks very nice actually. So we have this demand on the 4 hour. Previous lows have been taken out. Price has tapped into this. Very clear bullish momentum as well. Hasn't swept liquidity to the left. So this is a perfect opportunity if we can get a valid lower time frame structure shift here. Sweep of this zone would also be valid. Like I said before, if price sweeps the 4 hour demand or any higher time frame demand, it becomes higher probability that you see a bigger rally. So in this case, the area was swept, but let's see if we can now get an M5 change of character. There you go. So price is starting to rally, and there we go. That is our change of character. So this trade has now become higher probability because we have that sweep of 4 hour demand plus change of character on the M5. Currently, the demand I would look to enter from would be if we can see a pullback to this area. I'm viewing this as like a previous internal low that price is likely going to take out before going higher. So yeah, if we can see a pullback, I'm actually just going to set my limit just below that low. Stops below here. And for this one, we'll see how it goes and we'll see how it reacts to previous liquidity, but I'm quite confident in this one, so I'm going to target the previous high up here. One thing I would watch out for would be this level here. If it starts to show indications of a reversal after sweeping this high, we could maybe look to get out early, but for now. Just looking for continuations here. There we go. So price has swept that level, tapped into our demand zone. Let's see if we can get the rally. Nice rejection so far after that sweep. Let's see if it can continue. Ideally, it comes up and breaks this high, which looks likely it will. There we go. Nice continuation so far. Didn't react from the liquidity, so I'm comfortable holding this now. Back up towards this previous high. We could also maybe look to get a scale in here. If we can get a pullback, because we can make this initial trade break even without it interfering with the initial trade, we could look for another buying opportunity if we can see a pullback. Currently, I'm not really seeing too many clear levels, but let's see how it develops. Nothing just yet. Still nothing really. I was looking at that, a sweep of the Asia low, but there wasn't any valid confirmation here. So that wasn't a valid trade for me. And yeah, there we go. So we didn't get a pullback, but we did manage to hit TP on that initial trade. Once again, using the sweep of higher time frame demand or supply zones as a higher probability scenario, as we saw in this case. You can see there, if we get rid of this box, it did end up sweeping the demand. The reason this works so well as well is because lots of people are trying to trade based off these zones nowadays. So obviously you have lots of previous orders resting below this area, and also people trying to buy in the zone itself. You can see now as well, we've continued up, broken structure again. So I'm very simply looking to continue buying up towards this previous high. If we can see a pullback here, maybe we have this sort of 4-hour demand zone. That would be quite nice. There we go. So price retraced into it. Let's see if we can see a reaction here. At the moment, I'd want to see it break this high, unless it continues lower first. Let's see, it has kind of just, it's moving quite range bound, not a lot of volume coming in. I don't really like this because we've got all of these equal lows below, so I'm not going to enter this. Actually, yeah, there we go. So we did get a push from that level as we were anticipating. Yeah, there we go, guys. So I should have been entering that ideally. But what put me off was the fact that if we go back here, we had Asia low, and we also had another low to the left, which looked like it was probably going to get taken out. And then up here, there was no second entry opportunity anyway. You can see now we have broken structure again, only with a wick though, so this looks quite weak. So yeah, maybe we could see price come back and grab some of these lows. We have also just taken out this previous low, so we could also see the buys from here maybe. There's quite a lot of volume coming in at the moment though. Yeah, so there we go. So we can look for price to come lower now to the next zone, which, you know, you have actually got this zone, which is a previous area of demand. So two scenarios I'm looking at here. Either we see buys from this demand, or we see a sweep of it like this. That would also be a valid scenario. And then we can look to buy up to target that previous high. If you look back on the daily, very clearly we wouldn't expect price to reverse before sweeping this high. It's just a clear level that price looks to be targeting. So yeah, let's have a look what happens here. Looking at those two different scenarios and basically just reacting to which one price shows us. There we go. So we did get the change of character on the M5 and we created an area of demand. So actually, if we can get a sweep into this area of demand, I'm going to enter this, just going for that liquidity level right there. There we go. We're tagged in. Nice reaction so far. Okay, no, so stop loss on that one. Let's see what price does now. Maybe it wants to come lower and sweep the low instead. So if you look on the daily as well, what we could maybe see, we do have, if you notice, price is kind of accumulating all of these lows just here. So actually, yeah, what I'm more inclined to look for here is maybe if we can get a sweep of this liquidity level, and then we could look for buys from there. Let's have a look. Yeah, I still like how this is kind of just consolidating above that low. Lots of previous liquidity down here. Yeah, there we go. So price has taken out that low. Let's have a look now if it can flip back bullish. There we go. So we got the flip back bullish just there. We price created an area of imbalanced demand. So let's enter this. Let's set the limit. Stops. I'm going to have it slightly below this low just in case price wants to re-grab it. And then as for targets, we can go for, obviously you wouldn't want to target like all the way up here. So maybe we could go for one of these intraday liquidity levels. We have this one up here. We have this one as well. Actually, I'm going to go for this one. My thought process behind that is if price sweeps this high, the probability that it also goes to this one is very high. So I'm just going to target this. If it starts to show signs of reversing from this level, I'll get out. But apart from that, I am quite confident in targeting these highs. You could also see it react from the supply actually. Actually, looking on the M15, I'm going to target this just because I think there's a high likelihood it reacts from there. It's still a 1 to 4 anyway, so. Alright guys, so let's see if this can come down and tag us in. If not, we can always look for a different zone instead. Damn, so slightly missed us by like 1 pip. Let's see if it can come back. Damn, so that's annoying. TP hit, slightly missed us by around 1 pip or so. I think that was kind of just our fault for trying to over refine things, but yeah, let's look for another entry. Obviously price is now flipped very bullish, back up towards the main highs. So the highs up here, we can now look for a pullback to maybe get in on this move. You can see as well, it did kind of come back into this demand. So yeah, let's see if we can get a pullback to get back in on the buys. Not currently seeing that much POI wise. Maybe we've had this 15-minute breaker structure, so maybe you could see price come into this demand and then react. I'm going to fast forward Asia though, as always. Yeah, this looks like a nice area actually, if we can get a push from here. Yeah, there we go. So London swept Asia low, flipped bullish on the M5. So if we can get a pullback into the demand, I'm going to get in. Based on the fact that we had this change of character to the left. Stops just below the low, and I'm going to target. I'm just going to go for a 1 to 3 on this one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to target this liquidity level we marked previously. Yeah, a little loss on that one. Damn, that's slightly annoying. It looks like price is now going in our favor as well. I'm not going to re-enter this. Let's see where it goes from there. Yeah, okay. So this is the next zone I would look at. Now that price has grabbed this low, we could also see it maybe tap the demand, which is this area. So these are the next zones I would look at for the longs. Ideally, yeah, we should have been looking at this initially. This one didn't have any liquidity above it, so it wasn't very high probability. There we go. Demand was tapped as well. Nice volume coming in. Let's have a look if it can break structure. There we go. So it did break that 5-minute structure to the left. This initially here was not valid for me because it needs to have a closure above. Let's see if we can get a pullback into a valid zone. Yeah, so I'm going to actually set my limit here. Stops just below that low. Reason for this is the area of demand you want to look at. We've got lots of previous lows just above it. And when price is moving with this much momentum, you know, you wouldn't expect it to sort of come down all the way back to this level down here, unless it is going to flip bullish. So I'm going to enter this, go for just above a 1 to 3 to target that liquidity. Let's see if it can pull back for us. Right, there we go, guys. So we're tagged into this. Let's see if it can continue to push. I like how correctively this has come down as well. Ideally, we can break above this high. Yeah, there we go. So it did break above that high. Let's play this on the higher time frame, actually. Asia coming back down. Yeah, so that's slightly annoying. We did get stopped out. I think the level we should have been looking at was this area. And you know what? I'm actually gonna, if it does retest this, I'm gonna get in here. Actually, I don't think the risk to reward is worth it. No, it's not worth it. So I'm gonna look for a lower time frame confirmation here, actually. If we can get another 5-minute entry, I'm gonna enter this. Yeah, there we go. So that's annoying. Price did go in our intended direction, but we were the inducement. So we got stopped out on that one, unfortunately. Good analysis overall, though. And looks like price, yeah, we've just swept that daily high now as well. So zooming back out, what I would basically be looking for here, we obviously made this push up, grabbed that daily high to the left. Bear in mind as well, we are also still within that weekly supply zone. So we could maybe start to see some sells come into play here. Even if it's not a complete move, you know, all the way back down here, we could see at least some sort of reaction now. So I'm going to look for that. If we can get a clear lower time frame flip back bearish. So let's see. Yeah, there we go. So you can see volume coming in, price starting to sell off, breaking past previous levels of structure as well. Right, so what I would look for here is maybe if it can pull back and grab these highs, we can look for shorts down into these lows. There we go, so that high was swept. M5 flipped bearish just there. Maybe if we see a pullback up to this area, we can get in and target these previous lows. I'm actually going to have entry slightly lower because we can still get a 1 to 3, even if it doesn't pull all the way back up to that level. Damn, so no pullback on that one, but good analysis. And right guys, so this video is already quite long, so I'm going to end it here and we're going to continue this next time. If you did manage to enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And in the meantime, while you wait for the next backtesting session, make sure to check out this one. I'll put a link above here that you can click on. So I hope you all enjoyed this session. I will see you guys in the next one.